Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस इस भक्ति सिद्धांत श्री गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोरधाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories are somebody glories. All glories to the assemblies. All glories to the assemblies. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Namaha, Namaha.
Namaha.
And welcome to everyone for Srimad-Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. We're reading in the third canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam tonight, starting chapter 24, the renunciation of Cardamom Muni, starting with text number 1, and relying heavily on everyone for their input and participation while Maharaj's voice rests. Thank you so much for being with us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
So we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 24, the renunciation of Cardamom Muni. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitreya Uvacha. Nirvedavadi mevam manodurhitaram muni dayalu shalini maha shuklabhi vyahritam smaran. Recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardama replied as follows to Swayambhu Manu's praiseworthy daughter, Devhuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation. Rushi Uvacha Makhido Raj Putritma Tvama Atmanam Pratyani Dite Bhagavan Svetaksharo Garbham Dura Sapyam Prasyate. The sage said, do not be disappointed with yourself. O princess, you are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will shortly enter your womb as your son. Purport. Cardamom Muni encouraged his wife not to be worried, thinking herself unfortunate, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his incarnation, was going to come from her body. So as we know previously, Cardamom Muni met Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was very much satisfied with his austerity. And then he came and gave his audience to Cardamom Muni. And at that time, if you remember, Cardamom Muni asked for suitable wife from Lord Vishnu. And also, Lord informed him that he will also come as his son, Kapil Dev. So now he is disclosing this to his dear wife, Devhuti. Okay, text number 3. Surbhi Mataji.
Rita Vratasi Badram Te Damina Niyamena Cha Tapodravina Danais Cha Shraddaya Chesparam Bhaja. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Purport. In order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance, and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Cardamom Muni advised his wife, you have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance, following the religious principles and giving charity. Then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you and he will come as your son.
Very nice. This is very informative and also very educational for us. In order to achieve the mercy of Krishna, we have to engage in austerity and penance, and that's also sacrifice. One cannot achieve the mercy of Supreme Lord without sacrifice, seeing one's riches. Okay. So especially our sacrifice is chanting Hare Krishna mantra every day, 16 rounds. That's our sacrifice. And also following 4 regular principles. And thank God in Kali Yuga, process is made very easy for us, so we can follow. All right, let's see what else we have.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Maharaj has posted in the chat. He's
Sure.
essentially instructing her to do what she's already accustomed to doing.
Wow, that's nice, Maharaj. I didn't realize that. Good. She was accustomed to serve her husband. Nice. Thank you. I would like to call up Saraswati Mataji.
Pranams to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Satvayāradhita shuklo vitanvan mamakam yasha chattete hridaya granthim odarayo brahma bhavana. Translation: the personality of Godhead being worshipped by you will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahma. Purport: when the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge for the benefit of all people, he generally descends as the son of a devotee, being pleased by the devotee's devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the father of everyone. No one, therefore, is his father, but by his inconceivable energy, he accepts some of the devotees as his parents and descendants. It is explained here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot of the heart. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of one's self with matter, which is called Hridaya Granthi, exists for all conditional souls, and it becomes more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. The explanation was given by Lord Rishabh to his sons that this material world is an atmosphere of attraction between male and female. That attraction takes the shape of a knot in the heart, and by material affection, it becomes still more tight. For people who hanker after material possessions, society, friendship, and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. It is only by Brahma Bhavana, the instruction by which spiritual knowledge is enhanced, that the knot in the heart is cut to pieces. No material weapon is needed to cut this knot, but it requires a bona fide spiritual instruction. Kardama Muni instructed his wife, Devahuti, that the Lord would appear as her son and disseminate a spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. This really brings to heart what Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj was always trying to impress upon everyone, that in this heart we have put so many people, wife, son, husband, or family members, society, prestige, status, all of these things are in our heart. And therefore, how can Krishna, he could be so far down in that order of priority that we've given to all these material relations, So he was always saying, no, you have to put Krishna. Krishna is the only one who can occupy the heart, because our permanent relationship is only with Krishna. So he was always saying we have to get rid of this false, or not false, but temporary attractions that we have to family. So that's what comes to my mind when I read this. Thank you.
Thank you. It says Hridaya Granthi, not in the heart. And not even this life, not in the heart. We are carrying from many, many life before also. We are carrying that. Very nice. Okay, Subhi, you're keeping eye on the chat box, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Tulsi Priya Mataji just posted a verse. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samsaya shiyante chasya karmani drista evat manishvare. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Srimad-Bhagavatam 1:2-21.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, Tulsi Priya Mataji, you want to go ahead for text 5, please?
Sure, give me 1 second to get to it.
Sure. Text number 5, right?
Maitreya uvacha deva hutyapi sandeshang goravena prajapate samyak shradhaya purushang kutastham ahajad gurum. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, Devahuti was fully faithful and respectful toward the direction of her husband Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis or generators of human beings in the universe. O great sage, she thus began to worship the master of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart. Purport. This is the process of spiritual realization. One has to receive instruction from a bona fide spiritual master. Kardama Muni was Devahuti's husband, but because he instructed her on how to achieve spiritual perfection, he naturally became her spiritual master also. There are many instances wherein the husband becomes the spiritual master. Lord Shiva is also the spiritual master of his consort, Parvati. A husband should be so enlightened that he should become the spiritual master of his wife in order to enlighten her in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Generally, Stri, or woman, is less intelligent than man. Therefore, if the husband is intelligent enough, the woman gets a great opportunity for spiritual enlightenment. Here it is clearly said, Samyak Shradhaya, that with great faith one should receive knowledge from the spiritual master and with great faith execute the performance of service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, has especially stressed the instruction of the spiritual master. One should accept the instruction of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. Whether one is liberated or not liberated, one should execute the instruction of the spiritual master with great faith. It is also stated that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. One does not have to seek the Lord outside. He is already there. One simply has to concentrate one's worship in good faith, as instructed by the bona fide spiritual master, and one's efforts will come out successfully. It is also clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not appear as an ordinary child. He appears as he is. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, he appears by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. How does he appear? He appears when pleased by the worship of a devotee. A devotee may ask the Lord to appear as her son. The Lord is already sitting within the heart, and if he comes out of the body of a devotee, it does not mean that the particular woman becomes his mother in the material sense. He is always there, but in order to please his devotee, he appears as her son.
Yes, go ahead. You want to explain something, please?
Well, I was just remembering how when Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki, it was said that first he appeared in the mind of Vasudev, and then from Vasudev was transferred to the womb of Devaki. So it's sort of a confirmation of what Prabhupada says. He's already there, but he chooses the transmission route, of the father and mother to appear in the material world. And what else? About what he was saying, what Prabhupada was saying about husband being the spiritual master of the wife. I think we that hasn't been the case in ISKCON, but I guess traditionally it is the case. Although we hear going back, a long time, maybe in the past few hundred years, women taking initiation from a spiritual master, traditionally in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But I think generally it's more often than not when they're unmarried that they'll take initiation from, somebody who's not a husband because they don't have a husband. But it seems that I'm seeing that it's practical, it's just very practical to take instruction from your own husband because you're with him all the time. And I think that would be something that happens more and more as we have more and more advanced devotees, and the culture of Krishna consciousness becomes more solidified, and you have people who are generations of devotees, and it would be natural for that to happen. I don't know if we're there quite yet, but I think it definitely can happen that way. But it's not something that can be forced. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you very much. Surabhi Kunja.
Yes, I think, Kendra Prabhu has said, this verse indirectly indicates how unfortunate we are in the present day. Those who are supposed to represent Krishna, fathers, mothers, husbands, teachers, are more often than not completely bewildered by material desires and saturated with the 4 defects. Thus, we live in an atmosphere of faithlessness, and it becomes very difficult to place any trust even in genuine spiritual authorities. But Devahuti, having been raised by Manu himself, was greatly fortunate to have not been cheated early on, so she was able to accept the good instructions of Kardama very easily.
Good.
I wanted to add to that too. There's something to be said for having a very close relationship with the person who is your spiritual master. I always was struck by how Arjuna, he was not Krishna's disciple first, he was his friend first, and they were very close and very intimate. And that sort of trust, he obviously knows who Krishna is, but really they were friends. And then at the moment of his crisis, he turned to Krishna as spiritual master. So, Devahuti also had that relationship, I forget where Prabhupada says that the wife is the most intimate friend, So, and of course that means the husband is the most intimate friend. So it seems like it makes it easier, in one sense, to have that basic relationship of trust, deep trust. And then when they, if you accept that person as spiritual master, it's a lot easier. I think, maybe in some cases, even when we accept a spiritual master, because of our conditioning, because of, bad experiences in spiritual life, maybe that trust isn't completely there, and it's something that we work on, as we develop, as we grow as disciples. But I don't know, I just think there's something to be said for having a very close relationship with somebody even before you accept them as a spiritual master, whether it's a husband or, it can be Shiksha disciple too, but that kind of confidence, that you build from a long association. I don't know, maybe Maharaj has something to say about that, but that's just been my observation.
Yes, Saraswati has to say something.
Yes, Saraswati Mataji says, my experience has been that the elderly women in the family were more advanced devotees and helped their husbands or children in spiritual life.
Yes.
I agree with that also, because the husband leaves home to practice sannyas, but the wife goes back home, and then she's the senior most person by age in the family. So even though the sons are in charge of the home and whatever, still the mother is the senior most person. So people consult with her for, different things, and she's probably running whatever pujas are going on in the home, and how to cook and how to do this and do that. So that's another, it's the husband is like a public guru when he takes sannyas, and the woman is a private guru in the home.
Okay,
But
I would like.
She's the first disciple of her husband, so that is, she succeeds him in the home as guru.
Yeah. Okay, Dana.
And sorry, Kendra Prabhu has a comment. He said, such relationships take much time and energy to develop, like bank accounts. Both parties have to make regular deposits.
Yes. Yes, Dana, go ahead, please.
Okay. Asyam bahutithi kali Bhagavan Madhusandanaha Ardhaman Viryam Apano Jagyan Nir Iva Darune. Apologize. Translation. After many, many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, the killer of the demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the Lord is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he appeared as the son of Kardamuni, fire is already present in wood, but by a certain process fire is kindled. Similarly, God is all-pervading. He is everywhere, and since he may come out from everything, he appeared in his devotee's semen. Just as an ordinary living entity takes his birth by taking shelter of the semen of a certain living entity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the shelter of the semen of his devotee and comes out as his son. This manifests his full independence to act in any way and does not mean that he is an ordinary living entity forced to take birth in a certain type of womb. Lord Nrsimha appeared from the pillar of Hiranyakshipu's palace. Lord Varaha appeared from the nostril of Brahma, and the Lord Kapila appeared from the semen of Kardama. This does not mean that the nostril of Brahma or the pillar of Hiranyakshipu's palace or the semen of Kardamuni is the source of the appearance of the Lord. The Lord is always the Lord. Bhagavan Madhusudana, he is the killer of all kinds of demons, and he always remains the Lord, even if he appears as the son of a particular devotee. The word Kardamam is significant, for it indicates that the Lord had some devotional affection or relationship in devotional service with Kardama and Devahuti. But we should not mistakenly understand that he was born just like an ordinary living entity from the semen of Kardamuni in the womb of Devahuti.
Thank you. Yeah, Lord is always independent. He's a Swarat. And he can do anything he wants. And he can appear from a pillar, like he said, Lord Vara appeared from nostril of Brahma and from Kapildev. So, yes, he is independent, Swarat himself. Okay, text 7. Avadayam swada vyomri vaditrani dhanadana Ganadana gayanti tam swagandharva nutyam nutya apsaraso muda. At the time of his descent on earth, demigods in the form of raining clouds sounded musical instruments in the sky. The celestial musicians, the Gandharvas, sang the glories of the Lord, while celestial dancing girls, known as Apsara, dance in joyful ecstasy. So they are all having good time just because Lord Kapil Dev is appearing. everybody is very happy. Text 8. Petu sumanaso vid divya khecharaira pavarjita prasedusva disha sarva ambasi cha manansi cha. At the time of the Lord's appearance, the demigods flying freely in the sky showered flowers, all the directions, all the water, and everyone's mind became very satisfied. It is learned here with that in the higher sky, there are living entities who can travel through the air without being hampered. Although we can travel in outer space, we are hampered by so many impediments, but they are not. We learn from the pages of Srimad-Bhagavatam that the inhabitants of the planet called Siddhalok can travel in space from one planet to another without impediment. They shower flowers on the earth when Lord Kapil, the son of Kardamba, appeared. Okay, let's see who else can. Sarah and Doug.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, thanks.
Okay. Are we on text 9?
Yes. Mhm.
Kardama Shrama Padam Sarasvatya Parishritam Svayambhu Sakam Rishibir Maricyadibir Abhyayat. Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati. Purport. Brahma is called Swayambhu because he is not born of any material father and mother. He is the first living creature and is born from the lotus, which grows from the abdomen of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Therefore, he is called Swayambhu, self-born.
Yeah, go ahead for number 10.
Okay. Bhagavantam Param Brahma Satdvenam Shena Shatruhan Tattva Sankyana Vigyaptyai Jatam Vidvan Ajasvarat. Translation. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge. O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, it is stated that the Lord himself is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra, and he is the perfect knower of Vedanta Sutra. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sankhya philosophical system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Kardama Muni, in his system of Sankhya philosophy, very explicitly explained not only the material world, but also the spiritual world. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Svarat, almost independent in receiving knowledge. He is called Svarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. Because Brahma is the first living creature within this universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who is seated in the heart of every living creature. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called Svarat and Aja. Another important point is stated here. Satvenam Sena. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, He brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his quality, his paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. Real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must also be some tinges of passion and ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from Vasudeva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Amshena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared as Kapiladev in a portion of his portion. God expands either as Kala or as Amsha. Amsha means direct expansion, and Kala means expansion of the expansion. There is no difference between the expansion of the expansion, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, as there is no difference between one candle and another. But still, the candle from which the others are lit is called the original. Krishna, therefore, is called the Para Brahman, or the ultimate God and cause of all causes.
Nice. So maybe you can express some ideas.
I was just thinking when we're reading about there's no difference between the expansion and the expansion of the expansion, kind of that analogy that we always hear about the sun rays not being different from the sun, although it isn't at the same time. That was one of my thoughts.
Also, the one candle to the another candle.
Light. I like how these analogies use light.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Tulsi Priya has a hands up.
Yeah, I don't have something to say so much, except that I'm curious to know more, because it seems that there's it's a little bit technical, where it says in the verse, the unborn Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his quality of pure good existence. So that part there, I'm sure there's something in Shastra that I'm not remembering right now that expands on this idea of pure existence, that I could refer to, but I can't think of it. So I guess what they're saying here, that he's an expansion. Where does it go? He's an expansion of an expansion. So I don't know if Maharaj could chime in on that. Or maybe it says later on as we continue reading on, but that's just struck me that Kapiladev is the quality of pure existence. I don't know exactly what that means, and I'm hoping to find out.
Maharaj says, Srila Prabhupada comments on this, Sattvena, by pure goodness. Sattva is existence and also goodness.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Saraswati has a hands up.
And
yes. Sorry, go ahead.
and Maharaj says, in the word for word, having an uncontaminated existence.
So I have a question. Oh, is there still some more things in the chat box?
Yeah. Maharaj is just also saying, In the purport, he talks about pure goodness as against the adulterated goodness of this material world. And Ekendra Prabhu posted the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, Srila Vishwanath says, this form of Kapil was not a full form, but a portion which was Sudha Sattva, Sattvena Amsena. Brahma understood that the Lord had appeared to teach particularly Vijayaptai, the philosophy which enumerates elements, Tattva Sankhyana. He worshipped Sabbajayan, him. He spoke with joyful senses, Asubhi. Asubhi actually means life heirs, but that also includes the senses. The word cha indicates Devahuti.
Go ahead next. Please read next. Maharaj says something.
Yeah, I read Maharaj's comments already, and then Mukesh Prabhu says, the supreme occupation, dharma of all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Srimad-Bhagavatam 126.
Yeah, very famous verse. Okay, I think you go ahead, Saraswati Mataji.
Yes, I have a question, and forgive me because my memory is so awful. But I think in Caitanya-caritamrta, I know this went into a little bit of detail about the different expansions of Lord Krishna, and I think one of them was called Vilas form. I can't remember the others. Anyway, I'm just trying to understand clearly that we've been given that one candle. The expansions are like, or the expansions of expansions are like one candle being lit from another candle, and then you've got the original candle, which is Lord Krishna. But what I'm trying to understand is that the amount of light that each candle gives, like for instance, we know like with Lord Krishna that's going to be your maximum wattage amount of light. So are the other candles also giving the same amount of light? In other words, the same percentage of quality. So is that a little bit different? I hope I'm making sense here in what I'm really asking. Like, are each candle giving out the same amount of light? Really, that's what I'm saying. Or do some of them have a lower amount of light that they're reflecting?
Maharaj says, the question is sensible. The answer is no. Maharaj says, this is analyzed in Nectar of Devotion.
Okay, anything else?
He says, Lord Ram, for example, showed most of the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But only Krishna shows 100%.
Yeah, etecham skalkalapamsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. After describing all the incarnations, then he said Krishna is the fountainhead of all the incarnation. Everything comes from him. It makes sense. All right. Let's see who else. Oh, we have your name is different here. You and Anand. Okay. Yes. You want to go ahead? Next verse, please.
Sure. What's the verse?
Let's see. We have
12, 15, 13.
No, I already give it to him. We're over here. 11.
11.
11, yes.
Yeah. Subhadhyam Okay. Subhajayan Vishuddhena Chetasa Tachchikirshitam Parishyamana Ashubhi Kardamam Chedam Abhyadhat. Translation. After worshiping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Devahuti. Purport. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, anyone who understands the transcendental activities, the appearance and the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered liberated. Brahma, therefore, is a liberated soul. Although he is in charge of this material world, he is not exactly like the common living entity. Since he is liberated from the majority of the follies of the common living entities, he was in knowledge of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he therefore worshipped the Lord's activities, and with a glad heart, he also praised Kardama Muni because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Kapila, had appeared as his son. One who can become the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly a great devotee. There is a verse spoken by a Brahmana in which he says that he does not know what the Vedas and what the Puranas are, but while others might be interested in the Vedas or Puranas, he is interested in Nanda Maharaj, who appeared as the father of Krishna. The Brahmana wanted to worship Nanda Maharaj because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a child, crawled in the yard of his house. These are some of the good sentiments of devotees. If a recognized devotee brings forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, how he should be praised. Brahma, therefore, not only worshipped the incarnation of Godhead Kapila, but also praised his so-called father, Kardama Muni.
Go ahead, please. You can explain something.
Well, praiseworthy.
Yes, praiseworthy.
Praiseworthy. In Kali Yuga, we look to demean people or measure them by our own. We really end up measuring other people by our own limitations and our own faults.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to our vision is jaded. It's tinged with our own inebrieties, our own limitations, and we see others in this way. Therefore, we get a great benefit from the Shastra and from the pure devotees who can see actually the qualities, the qualifications of others. They don't minimize Brahma. They don't minimize Kardama Muni. They don't think them ordinary. Prabhupada says you're not exactly an ordinary,
Yes.
Person. No, far from it. And so we're being advised here to see the great qualities of Vaishnavas, especially those who are so qualified that they can have the Supreme Personality of Godhead crawling as a child in the yard of his home, namely Nanda Maharaj. Or Kardama Muni, who has the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in incarnation as his very son. And also the good qualities of Devahuti, who had him as a son. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's interesting how Lord Brahma knew what was going on, even though he had to keep eye on everything. He especially kept eye on this occasion and came right in there. Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up.
Thank you. Well, first, I'm going to read Maharaj's comment. He says, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead brought forth Krishna in the form of the Sankirtan movement, how much he is worthy of praise.
Yes.
And there's also a comment from Mukesh in the chat box, which I'm sorry, Srila Prabhupada. That's what I was thinking. So Srila Prabhupada brought forth the Sankirtan movement. So he's the father. So he got to be the father of Krishna through the Sankirtan movement. That's a very nice, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yes.
Mukesh's comment is purport of Ishopanishad. Since the Lord is Purnam, all perfect, there is no possibility of his being subjected to the laws of material nature, which he controls. However, both the living entities and inanimate objects are controlled by the laws of nature and ultimately by the Lord's potency. This Ishopanishad is part of the Yajurveda, and consequently it contains information concerning the proprietorship of all things existing within the universe. And I just wanted to mention that this praise of, this Brahmana who says he doesn't know what the Vedas and the Puranas are, and while others may be interested in that, he is interested in Nanda Maharaj. And I take that to mean that the point of the Vedas and the Puranas, the ultimate end of them, is to have this loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of the rasas, So it's just the point is the loving relationship, not merely to have knowledge for the sake of knowledge, or obviously with the Vedas, it's not just for the sake of knowledge, but some people take it that way. Some people think, if I know all this, then it's a kind of power that you have over others. You know something that they don't. But this Brahmana is saying, no, the real thing is to have, Krishna as a baby crawling in your courtyard. So I appreciated that sentiment.
Yes, thank you. Nice. Okay, we have Mukesh Prabhu now. Number 12.
There's also
There's
a comment.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments in the chat. Okay, Praveen posted this verse. Shrutyam apare smritim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhava bita aham ihanandam vande yasya linde param brahma. Raghupati Upadhyaya recited. Those who are afraid of material existence worship the Vedic literature. Some worship Smriti, the corollaries to the Vedic literature, and others worship the Mahabharata. As far as I am concerned, I worship Krishna's father, Maharaj Nanda, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is playing. And Maharaj said Srila Prabhupada liked that verse very much. And then Saraswati Mataji has a question. Sorry if this question digresses, but Narad Muni is known to travel anywhere in material and spiritual worlds, and he worships Krishna as well as the other Vishnu tattvas too. And Muni states the gopis are the most exalted of all devotees. So is Krishna Narad's Istadev, or is it Lord Ram, Vishnu?
I think it's Krishna. Narad Muni's Ishtadev, sure. Okay. Next, whoever wants to read, please raise your hand. Okay, now. Yeah, please, go ahead. Panchatattva Prabhu. Number 12. Oh, you're muted, that's right.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Brahmavacha tvaya me pachitistata kopita nirvyalikataha yanme sangjagrihe vakyam bhavan manada manayam. Lord Brahma said, "My dear son Kardama, since you have completely accepted my instructions without duplicity, showing them proper respect, you have worshipped me properly. Whatever instructions you took from me, you have carried out, and thereby you have honored me." Purport. Lord Brahma, as the first living entity within the universe, is supposed to be the spiritual master of everyone, and he is also the father, the creator of all beings. Kardama Muni is one of the Prajapatis, or creators of the living entities, and he's also a son of Brahma. Brahma praises Kardama because he carried out the orders of the spiritual master in toto and without cheating. A conditioned soul in the material world has the disqualification of cheating. He has 4 disqualifications. He is sure to commit mistakes. He is sure to be illusioned. He is prone to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. But if one carries out the order of the spiritual master by disciplic succession, or the parampara system, he overcomes the 4 defects. Therefore, knowledge received from the bona fide spiritual master is not cheating. Any other knowledge which is manufactured by the conditioned soul is cheating only. Brahma knew well that Kardama Muni exactly carried out the instructions received from him, and that he actually honored his spiritual master. To honor the spiritual master means to carry out his instructions word for word.
Go ahead.
Essential truth spoken concisely.
Yes. Follow the instruction.
Again, this is one of those, it's, as always, Prabhupada leaves no doubt. There's no room for ambiguity or ambiguity. There's no room for ambiguity here. He's saying, in order to actually honor the spiritual master, you carry out his instructions word for word. And that means that you're not cheating. And by carrying out those instructions, Srila Prabhupada notes here, you become free from the 4 defects. And because your spiritual master has carried out the instructions of his spiritual master in toto, he is free from the 4 defects. So implicit is the understanding here that you can have full confidence in your spiritual master on the basis of the fact that he is carrying out the instructions of his spiritual master perfectly.
Thank you very much. So we are at the end of the time again, and I would like to have Krishna Kaunteya Prabhu. Please lead the kirtan. You have to turn up your volume.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Gurudev.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नदी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gaurang.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Thank you, Krishna Kante Prabhu. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayadvaita Maharaj and friends ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Yeah, well, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.